You need to know how to wire flowers, and I'm here to show you. My name's Darlene Repke from Petal Academy, and I'm going to teach you exactly how to wire 4 varieties of flowers today, so stay tuned. I've got in front of me a stem of beautiful mums, spray mums. I've got Lisianthus in a bud and a bloom, and I've got a stem of Ranunculus and a stem of spray roses. I'm going to show you step by step how to wire these so that you can use them for corsage work or any wired tape project. So I've got a spray rose here. Usually when we're working with spray roses, we want to remove the buds individually. When I'm looking for a wiring technique that will work, I usually leave only about ½ inch of stem below my spray rose. So you can see I've gone ahead and trimmed that so that I've just got a little tiny, about ½ inch of stem below that rose. I'm going to do the same thing with my mums. So mums are a great flower because you can divide them and they're very long lasting and they work well for corsages and any wired and taped. So I'm going to go ahead and remove just a couple of blooms of those beautiful mums. I can just pull those off, but again, I'm going to take those and trim them down so that I'm only leaving about ½ inch of stem underneath the bloom. So I've got those 2 ready to go. Lisianthus is another great flower to use for corsages or for wire and tape. They last really, really long. So I've got a bud here, and again, I'm going to go ahead, just trim that down, leaving only about ½ inch of stem below. Sometimes you can just pull the stem right off. And again, I've got about ½ inch of stem right underneath that bloom. You can see it in the upper camera there. One last flower I'm going to show you is the Ranunculus. So again, I'm going to go ahead and trim that flower down so that I'm only leaving about ½ a stem. I've got a collection of wires here over on the side, and I've got a different variations of thicknesses. When you're working with wires, you'll notice that the lower numbers are thicker. So a 16 gauge or 14 gauge or 18 gauge is going to be rather thick. So we want to look for usually wires between the 22 to 28 gauge whenever we're looking for wires that are perfect for corsage work or for wired and taped. I have a favorite one with this, is usually about the 26 gauge wire. So I've got a few here that I'm going to go ahead and trim in half because we just need about half the length of wire. They come in about 18 inches. And I'm just going to go ahead and trim them right in half here. And then I've also got to work with today a roll of corsage tape. Corsage tape is like a waxy tape that's usually sticky on the inside and quite smooth on the outside. There's different manufacturers. I think I'm working with Oasis today, which is a really great manufacturer. You want to make sure that it's got good tack so that it will work really well for your project. I'm going to zoom in here and I'm going to show you how to wire the Lisianthus first. So I've got my Lisianthus bud right in my fingers. I'm holding it and I'm going to do a cross pierce method, which means I'm taking my wire and I'm going to pierce it across the stem. So I'm going horizontally across the stem. If this is my vertical, I'm going across horizontally, and I'm going right just into the crown of the bloom. So just right below the bloom and right above the top of the stem. I've pierced that, so I've got about a quarter of my wire coming through on one side and 3/4 on my other side. And I'm going to take those 2 sides, pull them down beside my stem so that those 2 wires are married up beside my stem. I'm taking my corsage tape and I'm going to lay it across the top of my wire. I'm going to hold it with my thumb, and then I'm going to pull and rotate that stem in my fingers. And I'm holding my tape. I always hold it in my little finger like that, just easily. And I'm pulling towards my body with my left hand, and I'm rotating with my right hand, and I'm right-handed. So if you're left-handed, you're going to want to do this in opposition. And then I'm going to pull tightly to remove the tape. And you can double this up, but the more taut you keep your tape and the closer you get to the wire, that's when you're going to get that perfect, nice, clean method. So I did that twice just because I missed a little spot there, but you want a really nice, clean, tight tape job. And you can see at the top of my flower, everything is nicely taped there. Let's do that again with a spray rose. So I've got a spray rose bloom here. I'm just going to clean up the outside petals. Again, we are taking that wire, again, the same gauge, and I'm going right into the top of the bloom, right across that rose. Again, we're doing the cross pierce method, about a quarter of the wire through on one side, 3/4 on the other, and I'm pulling both of those wires down on either side of that stem. So the stem is just in the center. I'm going to grab my roll of tape again, go to the end. I'm going to tuck that up really close I've got that all gathered right around that bloom, and I'm rotating it as I'm pulling with my left hand towards my body, and I'm rotating and tightly pulling at the same time. So I'm pushing away with my right hand and pulling towards with my left. And that will give you that very nice and clean tape job. Number 2. Number 3, we've got a ranunculus. So this one's a little bit of a different method that you can try. I like to, we do the hook method with this one. The stems of the ranunculus are generally hollow. So you can place the wire up inside the stem, and you want to push that right through the bloom. So it's coming out of the top of the bloom. You can see it. I'm going to put a tiny little hook on the end of my wire. So I've got a tiny little J hook there that I've just created, and I'm going to pull it back down like an umbrella, right back down into the stem. And then I'm going to take my tape and I'm going to do the same thing. So I'm laying that tape across the stem gently, and I'm going to rotate my blooms and stem in rotation, and then pull tightly, and that will remove that tape. We've got 2 mums here, and I like to do the same hook method with the mums as well. But mums don't have a hollow stem, so simply you can take the wire, put it along the side of the stem, and push it up into the bloom, creating a little J hook again on the edge of that bloom, and you're going to pull it down back into the mum bloom. I want to make sure it gets into the heart of the mum. And again, we're taking that tape. I'm going to take a nice taut piece around the stem and the wire, and I'm rotating my hands in opposition so I get that beautiful tape job. I'm going to do that one more time with the mum. Again, up that stem on the side, through the bloom, the little J hook we've just created, pull it back down into the bloom. And then we want to take that tape, make sure we remove all the grains there, right around. So I'm wrapping that tape right around the stem, making sure that it engages, and we can rotate really nicely and pull towards you. All done. One last one I'm going to show you is the Lisianthus bloom. So this is the bloom of the Lisianthus. So same thing, we're going to do that cross pierce again. Take that wire, go right across that bloom, right above where the stem meets the bloom. Fold it down on either side. We're going to take that tape, collect it all around, wrap it right around that bloom, all the way down our beautiful stem. Voila, finished. Hopefully you guys enjoyed watching this video. If you want to learn more about floral design, we've got bi-weekly classes you can join. It's every other Monday, 7 p.m., $29, low cost, a great way to train your staff or to level up your skills as a floral designer. Thanks for watching today. Live life in full bloom, and we'll see you in the next one.